Hello, what's up everyone? So today I am gonna share my Andariel's Chain Lightning build. Now there are a bunch of Chain Lightning builds out there. There is an Andariel's version, but I kinda want to share my own, right? It's the fun thing about Diablo, you can theory craft and make your own build, and I was able to do so, and I'm here to share it with everyone. This build has pushed me to pit level 128. I cleared pit level 128. I'm about to try 130. And I can do Infernal Hordes. I would say it's pretty difficult. It's not the easiest, but it's become pretty powerful, in which sometimes I don't see the enemy spawn and I get really laggy. It's up there. It's pretty strong, guys. All right. Anyway, first up, let me just show you what I mean by my infinite mana thing. So I'll just demonstrate it. There you go. You get a lot of mana back, and I don't even have that primary lucky hit. Uh, it's even better when there's actual targets and you use ice armor. Even better when you have. Let me just show you guys. As you can see, I am not stopping. I keep shooting and shooting and shooting. Alright, that's to showcase the infinite mana. Sorry, I played First Descendant a month ago, and it's still stuck in my head. Anyway, here we go. Alright, let me show you guys the skills. And this is my skill board. You only put 1 point in frosbolt. You can get enhanced frosbolt, and then you can get glinting. This will help you with the mana regen a little bit when you're mobbing. Doesn't really work on boss fights, but yeah. So you get this. If you're wondering why I have so much points here, well, it's because of my staff, which I'll get to later on. Anyway, first up, just get these three. And you only want to get 1 point into Chain Lightning, get the Enhanced Chain Lightning, and then get Greater Chain Lightning. You don't need to put 5 points into this because your damage isn't scaling from Chain Lightning, it's scaling off Andariel's, right? Alright. Oops, controller just went off. Here we go. You want to put 1 point into Flame Shield, which is your God skill. This is the strongest skill, in my opinion, for sorcerers because it is a 2-second immune. I didn't pump this more. Like, you could if you want a longer duration, but you don't really need it, alright? So, yeah. I just put 1 point. Teleport. You only need teleport 1 point. Get enhanced teleport and get shimmering teleport. Now this is actually a skill that you could trade off for something else. Like, you could put lightning spear instead so that you have a more constant proc of conjurations. But I like teleport a little bit more just so that I can move around the dungeon faster. Also, I can escape more enemies, especially if I get CC, that's an unstoppable. And you get out of those pesky walls that the waller makes. Annoying ass wallers. I hate those things. So this is what I use to evade through it. Also, it's a 199% lucky hit, which is, yeah, it will proc whatever you need to proc, right? Here you go. Next up, you want to put 3 ranks into Glass Cannon and 1 rank into Elemental Attunement. You only need 1 of this because you're gonna fire off so many skills that you're just gonna get it, right? Here is the most important skill, I guess, for this build: Ice Armor. Ice Armor is what's gonna keep you alive. It's what's gonna keep you regenerating mana, and it's what's gonna basically keep you alive. Yeah, it's your survival skill. Also, your damage. You're gonna get a lot of damage because of ice armor. Alright, so you upgrade to enhanced ice armor. And You want Andariel's Massage. You do not need the GA. I just have it because I got lucky. Right? So there you go. You want to up the spec to your attack speed or to all stats. You don't want the other two because they're basically useless. Although the 633 will sort of keep you alive if you run out of barrier. It helps, and it will regen your health when you have barrier. So it's not bad. It's not a useless stat, but you don't want to put any master working into life on hit or maximum poison resistance. Depending on what your items are, you might not need too much attack speed on this item. Alright, just remember that. So actually, I have over 100 attack speed for my base, so I have to re-roll my Andariel's Massage to maybe get all stats. Okay. Next up, Tyrael's Might. Typical, you need it for the maximum resistance to all elements. I have tried Soul's brand, it doesn't work as well. In theory, it sounds a little bit more interesting, especially since you have potent warding on Talrashas to get more resistance, but yeah, it just doesn't work as well. So yeah, again with the gems, you want to put, sorry, I forgot, intelligence. Put a topaz into your helmet. Next up, you want your Fist of Fate, right? The god tier item for Season 5 of Diablo. Put all the masterwork crits to lucky hit. You don't really need a high number for your lower affix, you know, the effect on the bottom attacks randomly 1% to 260. But if you can get something with 300, that's even better. You want decent attack speed, and you don't really need crit chance with this build, but if you have it, then well and good. But I am severely lacking on my crowd control random effect. I wish it was higher. It's not. I'll try to find a better one, but yeah. Fist of Fate is very important to the build because this is a Andariel's build. Lucky hit. Lucky hit. Alright, make that clear. Next up, Axial Conduit. The Chain Lightning Pants. Alright, for this one, depending again on your resource generation. Honestly, I think 79.6% resource generation is good enough for the build. You don't need to triple crit this, so you might want to do 2 resource generation and 1 into damage reduction. Or even better, you might want chance for chain lightning projectiles to cast twice. Yeah, but you do want a GA on this thing. As much as possible, try and get the GA. All the other items so far, except for Fist of Fate, you want the GA on the lucky hit as well, right? But Tyrael's and Andariel's, you don't need that. Next, my boots. I used to think these boots suck, but these are my favorite boots right now. Attacks to reduce evade cooldown. You don't really need evade cooldown for this build, but I guess it helps if you want to dodge like a bunch of on-floor effects more often. Then yeah, it's kind of good. But you could go with a different effect. You don't really need this one. But what you do need is intelligence on your boots, max life, and armor. For your temperings, you want to put crowd control duration. The reason for this is you want a longer stagger whenever you do the boss fight. Alright? And movement speed, because if you don't have any movement speed on your boots, you're gonna move like a snail. So I like movement speed, so I put movement speed. Next up, your amulet. Now, I have 2 amulets right here. This was actually my old amulet when I was using a crit version of Chain Lightning. It is pretty godly too, it's pretty good. It has 5 ranks to Glass Cannon and 4 ranks to Conjuration Mastery and some max life. Your tempers, ideally for this build, would be resource generation and vulnerable damage. Because Andariels cannot crit, so critical strike damage isn't as good. But if you're doing a hybrid of crit damage and Andariels, it kind of works because you still get around 40 to 50 million crits from your axial conduit explosions and your Vir mastery explosions. So yeah, it's okay. Like, this is okay. It's fine. However, those 5 ranks to glass cannon mastery is gonna hurt you quite a bit with your survivability, but it will do a lot for your damage. As you can see, I have 16% more damage. The trade-off of your damage to your squishiness, if you will, I think it's worth putting glass cannon. So yeah, put glass cannon, guys. It's pretty good. Alright. However, this was my old item, and I just got this one. Attack speed, 5 ranks to conjuration, and 3 ranks to glass cannon. I have to re-roll this because I want to put it all to conjuration mastery, because this build scales way better on conjuration mastery. Because if you go to your passives, I'm sure you guys know this if you watch your lightning spear builds, whatever, but you gain 8% attack, 8% movement speed, and 16% mana regeneration for each conjuration. And my build at the moment, the maximum I can conjure, if I'm not mistaken, I've conjured maximum about 16 to 20. So that's a pretty big increase, right? Like 10 would be 80, 20 would be 160 times damage. And then you have your mana regeneration, which will, there you go, you just have a lot more mana. You're never gonna run out if you have a lot of conjurations. Alright? And let's go back to the items before anything else. I forgot to mention, I'm so sorry. For your boots, you want to put Orange Herald, because this is what's gonna reset your ultimate. That 10% is actually it happens really often with this build because you have so many projectiles and it's so fast. Your ultimate is always going to be available. Alright? Yeah. For your aspect on your amulet, you want to put Storm Swell because, well, it's a huge modifier and it's always going to work on everything. It's going to work on your Andariel's poison damage. It's going to work on all your damage, basically. Alright, there you go. Again, try to masterwork 5 ranks into Conjuration Mastery. Next up, you want Tal Rasha's Iridescent Loot. Now this one, I have not really played around with this, but I think you can just masterwork non-physical damage. I think that's what's gonna boost your damage more. But cooldown reduction, that's why I think you don't really need cooldown reduction to crit, because you have so much cooldown reduction from your ultimate, this one, and you're spending so much mana. Your ice armor is just gonna replenish really easily. If anything, this will help you with your fire shield, but not really, because your ice blades are also gonna reduce the cooldown to that, and it's only a little bit of points, guys. Like 2 crits on this would probably just increase it by 3% or so, or maybe 4, I'm not sure. So I think non-physical damage is the way to go. Next up, you want a Ring of Starless Skies. This is a unique heavy build and a mythic unique heavy build if you haven't noticed. Alright, you want this, and you want to put lucky hit chance and maybe attack speed depending on what you're lacking. but lucky hit chance is the one to go to. All right, there you go. 5%, gain 10% times up to 50%, and it will reduce your costs for your chain lightning. Basically, this 50% is going to be constant, same as this, by the way, because unlike other builds that don't have a fourth element to it, Andariel's has 4, so you will always have 80%. You have poison, you have fire, you have ice, and you have lightning. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be 80%. Such an awesome build. All right, next up, Vox Omnium. Now, you might say, damn, that's a lucky staff. And honestly, when I first got this staff, I thought it was trash, right? Like, I got it in Infernal Hordes, and I was like, I'm not gonna really need this. The bottom stat is kind of a throwaway. Honestly, it's like, you're not really gonna gain any damage from your basic attack skills. So it's not needed. You don't need a really good stat on the effect, right? But what you do want here is core attack speed, 94.5%. That is absolutely nuts of an item. And so many people are sleeping on this. If you go to the trade website, they're being sold so cheap. And by cheap, I mean like 700 to 1 billion for a 4GA. I think after this build comes out, it might go up in price a little bit, but you know, it's not a meta build, so maybe not. But I think it will definitely increase once people realize that it's such a good item. Look at the stats: 527%, 527 int, 94.5 core attack speed, 292.5 physical damage. That's a lot of damage. And then plus 9 to basic skills. Pretty basic. You want to slot this with Amethyst for your damage over time. And by the way, this is the only staff that has lucky hit chance, so it increases your lucky hits even further. There you go. That is the secret to this build on how I'm able to proc so much Andariel's poisons, and how basically my screen turns into a bunch of numbers and it just explodes with numbers, and it's awesome to look at. Yeah, those are my items, guys. This 4GA, by the way, I bought it off the trade. I did not drop this. I am not the lucky person that drops it. Yeah, there you go. That's the equipment. I will show you briefly my Paragon board. If you want a longer look at the Paragon board, there is a build planner that's going to be linked at the description of the video. I really work hard on this build, guys, so I really would appreciate it if you guys like the video, comment something, and subscribe to the channel. I am a super small YouTuber. I'm also afraid that it's such a petty thing, really, but there are bigger YouTubers that would watch build things and then they would claim a build. That's why I did not want to put out this build right away if it wasn't a really good build. So yeah, let's go to the Paragon board. I'm just going to show you guys the what do you call these? The rare nodes that I get. So you want to get this, you want to get this for the you want this for the HP, because you don't want to run rubies as much as possible on your items. I'll explain that after we get through the board, alright? So you want max HP on your Paragon board. Next up, you want to socket your Unleashed for this one. After spending 50 mana, you deal 8%, increase damage, you gain 25% increase mana regeneration, so more mana regen. This will also boost up your non-physical damage, so always get these nodes right here. Get this one just for more dex, which also scales to your critical strike chance. And yeah, this one right here. So Non-physical damage is your go-to stat for this build. Anyway, next up, you want to get the... what board is this? Static Surge board. Now, you don't need to get these. I like damage. You could go with reduction stuff, but I like these because it's just 4 extra points and you get damage, right? Get Static Surge. You don't need to fill up your decks for this one. Again, critical strike damage is not important for this build, but what you do want is the effect below, which is critical strikes increase all damage the enemy takes from you by 2% for 10 seconds up to 12%. You're going to be critting a lot. The 12% is always going to be there, and the 12% affects your Andariel's poison damage. Next up, you want to get the mana nodes right here. Get these 4, and then go up and get the enchantment master board. Just get the rune slot. For this one, I put, what is this? Man, my brain, Elementalist. Because you want to just get more non-physical damage. You do not need resistance for this build. You have a lot of it from your Tyrael smite, or just being a sorcerer, you have a lot of it on your like jewelry and stuff like that. Alright, get the non-physical damage nodes. So this is 40 int. So yeah, just follow my build plan, guys. You go up here to get the non-physical damage again, as well as the maximum life nodes. Really important. I'll explain later. Next up, link to the left and get Burning Instinct. This is where you're gonna slot your exploit glyph, and this is where you want to put some of your dex points, right? Because your build cannot scale off crit damage. It can, however, scale off vulnerable damage or damage to burning or something, but vulnerable damage is better than the other additive modifiers. So you're gonna get this one for more burn damage, and this is probably one of my only damage reductions from my Paragon board, the reduction to burning. Next up, you're gonna go up here and you're gonna get Elemental Summoner. Now, you do not need to get this, even though I run a lot of conjurations. You don't need it, but you do need the mana again and the HP nodes. Always get the HP nodes on the Paragon board. Next up, you're gonna slot your charged rune. Picking up charge crackling energy gives you 15% damage, more hooray. Alright, next up is the Searing Heat board. Again, you only need this for the glyph basically, and here's where you get the burning. You deal 10% direct damage to burning enemies, another multiplier, really important. And then you get a nice 53.5% damage to burning enemies. You do not need to get these nodes because you don't do any fire damage, and yeah, this is useless. Alright, and the final board is, of course, Frigid Fate. Frigid Fate is really important because, yeah, more vulnerable damage, 20 times multiplier. Once again, even though it's with cold skills, you do have frostbolt and stuff like that, so it's really good. Next up, you want to get or put your tactician on this one. Now, the Maxroll build wants tactician on this one right here, on the Burning Instinct board, because you get more damage reduction to burning, and you get a little bit more additive burning to enemies, right? Damage to burning enemies. However, like I said, it scales better with vulnerable damage, and I do not like damage reduction stuff because I can just burst everything down faster and kill it, and I won't take any damage, right? That's the theory. But I do die. It happens. Alright. So this is where I put Tactician because I want more vulnerable damage. See how there's another 22.5% or something? Yeah. 25%. You get 25% and then you get 25 int because I do have points here as well. There you have it, guys. That is my build. Now, I can put a little showcase of the build working at the end of this. And yeah. Again, there's a build planner in the description below. I think I'm going to use Mobalytics or whatever website that has a build guide. And last few points again, guys. This build, it's not cheap to make, right? It's an expensive build to make because, well, first thing, it's you want the Andariels, you want Tyrael's Might, so you gotta do boss runs until you drop these. And then you want a GA on lucky hit. I was lucky enough to drop this item, but if you were to buy this on the market, this thing is expensive, like up to 20B, alright? 20 billion or more, depending on what you get. So that's expensive. Also, your amulet, I found this one's okay. This one's pretty cheap because nobody is gonna be running Conjuration Mastery on a normal build. I mean, there are some that do, but it's being slept on so hard that everyone's just doing Lightning Spear and using the Winter Glass. But guys, this build is pretty solid for non-meta builds. So Conjuration Mastery with the GA and Glass Cannon. The reason why it's expensive is because you're gonna be rolling and rolling and rolling until you find your masterwork perfection, as well as getting the Glass Cannon affix. If you're lucky enough to get 2 GAs of ranks, well, then you're a god. And if you can get 3 GA of ranks, then you're not real, right? So yeah, this build is almost perfect in a way. You can swap between these two. Notice the item power on this thing is so low, it doesn't matter because the stats are always the same. The only difference is the resistance to all, but you don't even need that. Yeah, there you go, guys. That's my build, and it's a really fun one. I hope you guys like it. Try it out. Yeah. Look, there's not... I forgot to even put a skull thing. Oh yeah, you put skulls on your jewelry. Sorry, I keep forgetting about these gems. I put 1 ruby on this just because if I remove it, it's gonna be below 15% because I changed my amulet. When I have my amulet, it's about 16,800. But this new amulet, it's a lot lower, right? Like 15,000. So yeah. Oh, the reason why you want max life on your Paragon board is because you want to put int on your armor pieces, on your gems, because you want more attack power, and then your int scales the damage of your Andariels. So I took inspiration from the Andy Rogue a little bit. But you know, if you put the Andy Rogue and this build next to each other, it's like a subpar version of the Andy Rogue. The Andy Rogue is just amazingly strong. However, if you party with an Andy Rogue and you're using this build and you're doing bosses, you're gonna out DPS the hell out of that Andy Rogue because the totem interaction with VYRS Mastery plus the explosion to axial conduit, plus it's another target for your Chain Lightning to bounce, you're gonna out DPS the Andy Rogue, and I can attest to that because I do have a friend that I play with that's an Andy Rogue, and he says that the clear speed of the boss when I'm partied with him, when it's the two of us, is so much faster than when he's solo, and it's already pretty fast when he's solo. So Chain Lightning Sorcerer plus an Andy Rogue ultimate combo for... You can probably push the pits as a team But you know, like it's always nice to push pit solo. It's kind of like a stress test. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Enjoy the demo, and yeah, I'm done talking now. Later.